Dr. Shubhang Agarwal, a special thanks for inviting me for this conference. And I'm really actually humbled seeing such stalwarts in the audience. I'd just like to share a few complex cases of total knee replacement which were done. And the purpose of this presentation, I'll come to that in the very end. So what do we understand when we talk about a complex knee? Usually the limb would be in varus, there'd probably be a fixed flexion deformity, likelihood of having bone defects, ligament laxities. As a result, patient is on bed for long periods of time, leading to obesity. Most of these patients, the problem gets compounded by osteoporosis, muscle weakness, and of course the advancing age. So having this composite cocktail of complexities, now how do we go about it? This is a 59-year-old patient. The knees, as you can make out in the AP view, the left side appears to be almost subluxed. There are marked osteophytes, there is bone defects on the medial side, and a case of a tri-compartmental advanced osteoarthritis. This is the patient's clinical photograph. She's barely able to ambulate independently without any walking aids, and probably her ambulation would be restricted to less than 500 meters. The lady is taken up, and what we end up doing is a total knee replacement. A staged one. The varus gets corrected on the operated side. The not operated side, of course, the varus still persists, the flexion deformity persists. I don't have the image of the opposite side. This is after the first knee was done. Obviously, she requires a second knee replacement as well, which was done. I didn't have the image of that. Now, this is yet another patient, 75 years old. Here, the arthritis doesn't seem to be as advanced as the previous case, but nevertheless, the patient deserves a knee replacement. Once again, barely able to ambulate independently without any walking aids. Flexion deformity on the left side, as well as the right side. Left side is more, right side is comparatively lesser. Taken up, total knee replacement done. 6.5 cancellous screw is all that is used to overcome the bone defect on one side. So first the left side was done, thereafter on the left side you can appreciate the varus has been corrected, the right side needs to be done again, and now the right side is done. In this case we get away with a total knee replacement. There is no necessity to augment in any form. This is after suture removal, almost full range of movements. This is the third case, 75-year-old patient. Once again, the right knee again appears to be absolutely subluxed. This patient is not able to walk unaided, uses a walker, and certainly requires a knee replacement. Even on the walking video, one can make out that probably the knee is lax, subluxed. In this case, I use a constraint liner and use a 6.5 mm screw for overcoming the bone defect. The right side was done first, varus was corrected, but the left side still requires a knee replacement. Left side is also done, and the other side also I use a 6.5 cannulated cancellous screw for overcoming the bone defect. Constraint liner was used. There were no bone wedges used, no augments used, no stems used. The patient bears weight fully, walks unaided. Yet another case. Again, advanced osteoarthritis managed with a total knee replacement. No wedges, no augments, a stem not required, and no use of constraint liners. Undergoes the knee replacement on the opposite side, and both sides varus corrected, independent ambulator, and has regained back a reasonably good range of movement. Yet another patient, subluxed bilateral advanced total arthritic knees. A constraint liner is all that is used. No stems, no wedges, no augments. The opposite side also done. On the opposite side, I had to use a constraint liner. Yet another patient, 59-year-old patient, advanced subluxed knee, managed with a total knee replacement at maximum a cannulated cancellous screw for overcoming the bone defects. Yet no stems required, no augments and no wedges. once again, we managed to get away with a total knee replacement. Again, another case, advanced arthritic knee, barely able to ambulate unaided independently, successfully managed with a total knee replacement. I've used a posterior stabilized knee. Yet another case, advanced arthritic knee, flexion deformity, barely able to ambulate, managed with a total knee replacement. In this case, used 6.5 Cancelous cases. Now, what would be the ideal case for constraints implants? Would be somewhat a radiological picture like this: advanced arthritic knee, subluxed knee, abundance of osteophytes. This is when the patient first came to me in the OPD. She was unable to enter into the chamber. I had to take this video in the physiotherapy department. This is how she was brought to us. Simultaneously we did both the knee replacements using constraint implants. In this case, it was the stems were used, constraint liner was used, and this is what the knee looks like post-operatively. 6 months later, she sends me this video. She belongs to the Northeast. She sends me this video from her house. This is yet another patient. The first time when I met her, she came with her husband on a motorcycle, and this is the way she walked into the office. She had already undergone a total knee hip replacement, so we did a bilateral knee replacement. In this case, we did use constraint implants. So the dilemma posed is, where are we heading? Has surgical skill been masked by availability of a variety of implants suiting conditions? Has industry-driven agendas overridden ethical considerations? Or are machines overtaking surgical brilliance? Have modern gadgets, apps douse the surgeon's belief in his confidence on his capabilities? Or will monetary considerations of purchasing new tools would lead the way now for the future? So to conclude, in the most complex primary cases with marked varus deformity, instability and bone loss, switching to a constrained device is not always necessary, as you have seen in most of the cases that I have shown. Ligament balance may be achieved by using primary implants as well. Simple cost-effective techniques may be adopted for management of extensive bone loss. So the take-home message, sirs, is a meticulous pre-op assessment, ligament laxity assessment, the proper approach, implant selection, whichever does well in your hands, sequential soft tissue release as was always taught in the basics, check gap balancing at every step of the procedure, keep the bone cuts as conservative as possible, use of bone grafts as and when required. Thank you.